All right, guys, welcome back to Crossman Productions. Man, it's been a hot minute, man, before we've since we've done a show. For those of you guys know, I was back in the hospital last week, so we had some issues I had to take care of. So got that squared away. So now we're back, back to doing the show, getting back to another a routine. So, you know, I've been so excited about my next guest, man. I've been trying to get him on since PowerSlap 8, and we've been trying to work our schedules together. Um, but this, I told you guys, whenever Ron was on Wolverine, we were talking about PowerSlap 8 and all the great fights that happened that night. You had the Crazy Hawaiian, Dan Van Herden. We had Babyface Blackburn on, who won his title. But my favorite fight I told you guys through that night was, of course, Vernon against Turpin. You guys already know how I feel about Turpin. So, to see Vernon, take Turpin down, was to me the best fight of the night. So, I've been waiting to bring Vernon in and talk to him about this whole match. And you will get to know Vernon too, man. I've talked to a lot of guys around the league, and they have a lot of like positive, things to talk about with Vernon, and just this type of person he is. So obviously, I want to get him on the show and talk to him. So, what's up, brother?
Hey, how's everything going?
It's going great, man. We were trying to work our schedules out to get you on the show, but man, dude, I'm excited about you being on. One, I want to get to know you as a person, and I've heard with all the people we've had on, just great things about you, and
I appreciate it.
Your journey in PowerSlap. So yeah, I wanted to get you on and introduce my audience to Vernon the Mechanic, Cathey, and get them to learn a little bit more about you and your journey. So, hey, welcome to the show.
I appreciate it, man. Let's get it going. Let's do this.
Awesome. So we'll start out like this. Kind of tell our audience where you were born and raised, and what was life like for Vernon growing up?
I was born in Texas, and then when I was little, moved up to Kansas, and I've been to Kansas ever since I was in first grade. Grew up on a small farm. My dad farmed. He had a mechanic shop. Went to a small school, and just everything was rural, small community. I still live in that small community. I'm actually a council member for the city that I live in. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just from beginning to now, I'm still here, and I just love the Midwest life, and I love small rural towns. So it's great to be here.
Cool. What part of Texas was you born?
Abilene.
Abilene. Okay. I live in Dallas.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, that's where I'm at right now, Texas. Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, CFA.
Oh, you Texans.
Cowboys.
I see it. You Texans, you're always man, die hard.
Die hard Cowboys fans. Yep. So
hey, don't worry. Salina, Kansas, right where I'm from, that's where Terrence Newman was from.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So little bit of knowledge there. One of your best corners ever came from right down the road.
Wow. Man, so I wanted you kind of get into the the PowerSlap. So what kind of drew you to going from the middle rural Kansas into wanting to get involved in something like PowerSlap?
So growing up, I'm just an athlete. I love doing sports. And a little secret. It's not a secret, but it looks like I'm good at everything. But that's because I only do things that I know I can win. So that's how you keep looking like you're good. It's like, nah, like you won't catch me on the golf course because I'm not very good at it.
Right.
But no, I ran track. I played football in high school. I ran little track out of high school.
Right.
Did the Highland Games. Did powerlifting. Just anything I could to compete. And then I moved on to MMA. Did that for a while, and that's what led me into PowerSlap. Is because an opponent that I had or was supposed to have years ago, our schedules didn't line up, and they gave him the call, and they're like, hey, he's like, hey, this is the guy you need. He won't back down. So they called me. One thing led to another, and that was Devin Schwan, and I went against him, and actually he's got a fight, August 17th this week. So things are going good for him, and that's where we're at now. Is just them letting me do it and winning and moving forward, and it was just a great experience, and I'm just riding it to the moon.
Cool. So let me ask you this, because I know a lot of the guys that come from the MMA or the UFC background, competing in that arena, how is that, competing in PowerSlap? Obviously it's a lot different because you don't have any defense moves, you know what I mean, in PowerSlap. Mm-hmm. So what's that transition like, going from, where you defend yourself to where you have to just stand there and take a slap?
So I still look at it as, I've said in other podcasts and stuff, there's a toughness level. So right. MMA, kind of weeded out the people to be in this sport. And there's guys that haven't done MMA, they're just tough and all that. But I think it's a good background to just come from that, because you're used to getting hit in the head. You know what it feels like, you know how to make sure that you're balanced and stuff like that. So the transition is a lot of people don't think it's a good one, but it really is. I mean, you're a combat competitive athlete, so just being able to take the hit is, to me, 80% of it.
Right. So and with the people coming from that era, from that arena, and going into PowerSlap, like Paige, when she came in, a lot of the people thought that her being able to take the hit was going to be difficult, because you learn, in MMA and UFC, you're used to defending yourself. You know what I mean? It's just a reaction. It's just a reaction. And in PowerSlap, you can't do that. So how do you restrain yourself? How do you train yourself to do that?
I'm
training yourself.
I'm pretty fortunate that I've always been a technical athlete, in the Highland Games and doing stuff and throwing events. You have to be like, oh, my position's here. This is my cue. This is that. So as a track athlete, I gained a lot of mental capability.
Right.
And as you can tell, like, what's good about my rise back up from, losing in PowerSlap is the fact that you can see the progression of my abilities, that every match I've gotten better. From my losses, I've learned. And, back to Paige, she had a little bit of head movement. She did a little stuff probably she shouldn't have done, but it was her first time.
Right.
And every match that she does, she'll progressively get better.
Right.
So, and when you watch the reality show, you're going to see that too. You're going to be like, oh, that guy did this, or he did that,
Right.
And it's a sport where you literally have to compete to progress yourself.
Right.
So that aspect, that's where I think the MMA background will be great, because you can go back, look at the footage, talk to your coach or your friend, or whoever is helping you with it, to discuss like how you're going to, not flinch, how you're going to tense up, how you're going to do this. Because I tense up totally different than I did against AJ and Alan. AJ got me down first hit. Alan got me down on the second hit, and I've learned from that. So as a PowerSlap athlete, I've progressed, and I feel that other people are doing the same thing. So as it gets better, you're just going to see just a pure best of everybody. It's going to be awesome.
Right. And I noticed a lot of the guys, they close their eyes so they don't see it coming. Mm-hmm. That way it keeps them from some. And
I close mine too. I won't get into my technique and stuff like that, but yeah, I mean, I'm within the rules, so it doesn't matter. There's a lot of like, you can't go like this or this,
right.
But like when I tense, I'm like, I go from here and I'm like that little,
right.
and you'll see like I'm not moving until I get hit. Like I'm not doing this. I'm not going, I'm like, and then I hit and I go. So there's a lot of technique in it, and people that aren't, familiar with the sport are gonna be like, oh, there's no technique at all. Well, there's plenty of technique.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. I don't think people realize is that, just it's like any other sport, you still have to train for it. I mean, you got to, you're training, not only to take a hit, but, but to give a hit too. So, there's, there's a training process to it. What do you say to the people out there who thinks that this isn't really a sport? I see, people out there talking about that, but to me, I mean, I love the sport. You know what I mean? I love what you guys are doing. I love what it's doing for you guys, personally. But what do you feel about it?
I bring it back to, and I've said this a couple times. I don't know if I said in an interview or podcast, but it's like wrestling. Like WWE. Everyone's like, oh, those aren't athletes. The hell they're not.
Right.
I mean, they train hard. They're entertaining. They're they have moves. They have different cues. Everything about it. And that's how I look at us. Yes, everyone's bringing us in the category of MMA and boxing, but we're not that.
Right.
We're PowerSlap.
Right.
And it's just like wrestling. They're not bodybuilders. They're not this. They're entertainers. They're doing flips. They're doing kicks. They're doing everything like that. So I put us in the category of like WWE. We're entertaining. It's a sport because, you're going back and forth. You're competitive. So to me, it's a sport.
Right.
100% a sport.
Right. And I fully agree too. Yeah. And then not only that, but this is a sport that gives people, a diverse group of people equal opportunity to get in there and and compete, because you got guys from all kinds of backgrounds. You know what I mean? Out there doing things.
There's, from top to bottom. We got carpenters, we got mechanics like me. We have MMA fighters. We have wrestlers. Jackie, she's a national champion wrestler. Like Robert Trujillo, he is an amazing MMA fighter. I'm a mechanic. Ron was a truck driver and delivered stuff. Plus he did other competitions. Right. There's so many venues here, and I think the Bell, he's going to get his law degree. So it's just
he's ready to be a lawyer. So
so it's top to bottom. Like we got it all.
Right. Exactly. So and to see the different people compete in this and watch them grow and move up. It's been exciting for me just as a fan. That's kind of what drew me in is, you got average guys out there competing, and it's when I sat down with Ron and you see how this actually, helps, it's just the average Joe come in and be able to, like buy a house, take care of, their families and, make some good money off of it too. And the other thing too, that I would like to see more of, and we kind of talked about this earlier, is getting sponsors, being able to get in there and make money from sponsors. I noticed in, I think, starting PowerSlap 6, when they were in Vegas, that they started actually getting sponsors, having commercials during the fights.
See, and that's a gray area because as competitors, we don't get any of that money. Mm-hmm. So it's like the UFC, and there's nothing wrong with it. That's their sponsor and stuff like that. And I would love to have sponsors. I'd love to do different things and be able to be a little more free with my life. And but the sponsorship is definitely a hard thing to get as a PowerSlap athlete. Paige, she's got millions of followers, so it's easy for her. Sheena, she's got hundreds of thousands of followers. Right. So their sponsorship comes on the end of like who they are and who they can touch, and through their platform. So as a smaller guy like me with 11,000 followers, sponsorship's really hard to come by. but I do have some good people that give me, I get supplements, I get certain things, but as of money for sponsorships, I don't get anything like that. So that's fairly hard.
Well, I noticed that like Danny Van Herden, back because he's over in South Africa, he's been doing a lot of sponsors with like local businesses.
Yep.
He just did one with I don't know if you've seen it with the hot sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, stuff like that. I think all that helps. All that helps. If you find a spot in Kansas that maybe a barbecue joint, you know what I mean, that you could do sponsorship for, but all that stuff helps because it promotes you and your brand, because basically that's what you are, is you're a brand in this arena. And I think the more that people see that, and I talked to Ron about this too, and I've talked about this to Damien, the more that people see that, and associate you with PowerSlap, I think that it helps you guys be able to compete more in those matches. You know what I mean? It keeps you in the forefront.
Yeah. Yep. And I hope I can do my best, and that's the other thing, like, and bringing it back to WWE and characters, nothing against Austin. He's a great person. He's a great character. He brings people, he has an audience.
Right.
Same with Ryan Phillips, he has a great audience. I have an audience of Midwest people that, just, they're like, oh, they like the hardworking guy that goes up there, that's humble and, does his job. So, I don't know. I mean, do I need to take on a persona? Do I need to do something like that? That's where I'm at in my career right now, is like, what do I do?
Right.
I mean, I feel I'm just always going to be true to myself and who I am. But I feel for other guys coming up, they're going to, be a little more vocal. They're going to do stuff they probably wouldn't do. And you see that in the reality show. There's certain guys like, you're like, come on. Like, I get it. It's entertaining. There's a lot of people. It's entertaining. So that's the fine line of like the wrestling mentality that I feel that the sport needs.
Right. But your persona, you're just like an average everyday Joe. You know what I mean? So that just that persona.
I'm more like the Undertaker. I'm more like the Undertaker. I go out there, just that's how I look at myself. I mean, maybe if they let me get like, some clothing and just like, come out, hood off, because it was hard for me because I've always competed in a sport that took focus. That you can't hoop holler around, you can't yell, you can't just be, it always took focus. Like I was a sprinter, so I ran the 100 and 200. Like you're not moving, you're not doing anything until the gun goes off. So the focus there. And even in powerlifting, you got, when you're up there, you're like, okay, you're just going through all your cues. You're going through what you're going to do when you're pushing your hips, when you're doing this. So you're all mentally thinking. So that's the aspect for me that I'm the way I am.
Right.
And Austin, I guarantee Austin never competed in a sport like that where you had to utterly focus on something.
Right.
So that's why he's the way he is, which is great. Gives multiple people.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that. So, in merchandise too. We talk about merchandising too. Be able to get out there and sell. So in PowerSlap, having all you guys out there, I know some guys already have, some merchandise out there, some brand. Does PowerSlap allow you guys to like sell merchandise and kind of brand yourself at the venue?
Yeah, we can brand ourselves. We can do all that. It's all about, we can't have their logo on there. We don't have the rights to their logos. We can't wear our stuff on their cameras. So it's a pretty cut and dry area. I would love to have like t-shirts made and have like a little website and stuff like that. I just don't have the time. And, that would be, to me, that'd be like a sponsorship thing. It's like, hey, let's do this. And, I have 4 kids. I'm going to, I got to go to their stuff. I do things. So my life is pretty hectic. So on that side, I would love to have t-shirts. I mean, I think it'd be hilarious. I got some great t-shirt ideas, but I just don't have time or the person that can do it right now.
Okay. Yeah, because when you watch these matches, seeing people come in like the crowd, um, it would be for me as a fan, because I look at this as a fan's point of view. I mean, you got PowerSlap; these guys look at it from a professional point of view. Sean, them the guys do great with that, but like I look at it from a fan's point of view, and all these, because now the audience is growing from PowerSlap 6, to PowerSlap 8. They went from like 300 to what 3,000, somewhere around there. In attendance. So seeing people come in there wearing their favorite contenders shirt or whatever, I mean, that to me that shows growth in the industry.
Yep.
And looking at PowerSlap from PowerSlap 1 to PowerSlap 8, it has already grown so much. I mean, from its beginning to where it's at now, and now it's starting to get sanctioned in other states and countries. So yeah, I mean, Dana, if you're watching this, let these guys their fans wear their stuff to the to the shows, man. Let them sell their merchandise, man, so that these guys are trying to make a living too. So anyway, so yeah, I would love to see more of that. So then we're going to talk about PowerSlap 8, because Ron and I we did our predictions, and Ron told me, because we were going through each match and who we thought was going to win. Each match, and when it came to you and Turpin, Ron told me Ron had you, and I'm like, look, I'm not a big Turpin fan at all, and dude, I'm telling you, man, every time that I see one of these blogs and they're showing Turpin knocking somebody out or Turpin or whatever, I always chime in and I always throw in my 2 cents about how I feel about Turpin. When Turpin went against Ron the first time and he got beat, and they gave Turpin the immediate rematch, I thought that was crap. That he should already get him the rematch. And then he comes back and he doesn't make weight. And so it's supposed to be a double title, match. And so they end up pulling the title, and I'm pretty sure they pulled his purse from it.
He loses a percentage of his money.
Yeah. Yep. So and they went ahead and they had the match, which my hat's off to Ron, because Ron could have just said no and they'd been done with that. But Ron ended up losing that because, for me, Turpin came in with the advantage of being overweight, with the extra weight. And my thought on this with Turpin is, you could tell when Turpin's thin and when he's gained the weight, all his weight goes in his neck. All his weight is in his neck. You can see it in his face and his neck. And everybody knows Turpin don't really have a neck. You know what I mean? So I think this is the way he does it, because that's an advantage for him. If he loses the weight and he has to compete, he loses that advantage of the weight in his face. So that's the reason why I think he came in overweight. And then he did it again with you. He came in overweight, and when they gave him the match from was PowerSlap 7, he took he beat Ron, and then I'm like, okay, they have to, after him coming and missing the weight and all that, they have to punish him. They have to. There's no way that he's going to screw up a double title match and then not punish him for it. You know what I mean? So, other than take the match, the title away, that's not anything. That's a given. But he should have fell down in the rankings, pretty far down in the rankings, And then PowerSlap 8, they announced he's going against Jim. And my first thought was, why are they putting this young guy against an older guy? You know what I mean? And Ron said, do not underestimate Vern. He told me. And I was like, dude, Vern's almost twice this guy's age. You know what I mean? He's older. He's older than Turpin. So they're trying to give Turpin a free ride up. They think, anyways. Especially when they're saying that that previously you couldn't take a hit. People kept saying
Mhm.
that, and I'm like, they're purposely trying to give him a free ride up is basically what I'm thinking in my head, so that he could
Yeah.
get back to the title match, and then PowerSlap 8 comes and you do your thing. You get up there and you knock Turpin out. First of all, the first thing I did was that I was completely surprised. Second of all, I might have done a dance, but I'm not gonna. So then I came back and we talked. Ron and I talked about it. But tell me, what was that match like leading up, to PowerSlap 8? What was that match? Because Turpin talked so much crap.
So this is the one thing that like people they don't understand. Like I don't know why they haven't noticed it. Like from my first match to my last match. I mean, do you see me get like before when I'm walking up there? Do I have any emotions? Am I yelling or screaming? Like I'm not. Like I'm there for a job, and I'm there to knock someone out.
Right.
So that aspect of it, it's like okay, I'm gonna go there. But then he had podcasts just talking crap. So then I was like, well, I'm just going to do stuff to mock him, but I won't I'll secretly mock him. It's just like he had a podcast. It's like, oh, I'm going to yell at him. I'm going to get in his head. I'm going to get that bitch boy. And I'm all like, okay. So when you see me on the stage and you see me walking back and forth,
right,
that's because I'm looking him straight in the face and I'm following him.
Right.
That's how a predator does it.
Right.
I was moving to him. He wasn't moving to me.
Right.
So that's a predator right there.
Right.
He was my prey and that was, I'm the predator. So at that aspect, I did that and then went up there and a lot of people don't realize this, but I didn't hit him as hard as I could have on the first one. And I did that on purpose.
Right.
I wanted him to feel something and then for him to think that he's got something on me.
Right.
So then I ate the next one. And as soon as I ate it, the look on his face was holy shit.
Right.
Like you can tell in the match because like when I hit him the first one, he kind of stunned. He's like, oh, night. And then when he hit me and he hit me and I just walked straight back. I didn't even look at him, didn't even respond to him. And then when I went to say, right on 3, because he gets all excited. He's like, right on 3. So I was pretty quiet and I was like, I went like this and I gave him the shocker. I was like, right on 3, 1, 2, 3. And I looked over at the judge and I was like, right on 3. And I paused because I wanted everyone to be able to take a photo to let them know that I'm giving them the shocker. So, and then another podcast, I told everyone, I'm going to knock him out in the second round. This is what's going to happen. So the second one, I gave it to him. Right. The first one was I was just hitting him. The second one, he was getting the full deal.
Right.
And then, afterwards he always humps the ground. So why not do the worm? Because I guarantee he can't do the worm.
Right.
His belly gets stuck on the ground. He'd be doing this, it wouldn't work out. So the whole thing was mocking him.
Right.
And so then I won. But back to the old man thing, I will guarantee if you look at my physicals and what the doctor says about my health versus what the doctor says about Turpin's health, they're going to be like, not even close.
Right.
Every time I go there and I get a physical, Dr. Davison or any of the other doctors, they're always like, man, Vern, top notch. Everything's good. Blood pressure's good. This is good. Vision's good. You don't have any. They try to trick me up every time. They're like, oh, we're going to get this old guy. There's nothing to trick me up with because I'm an athlete and I cut weight properly. I do everything properly. That's like Alex Pereira. He's older. Derek Lewis, he's older. If you're an athlete and you stay fit and you're keeping, eating healthy food and you're doing it in a healthy way, I perform great and I'm still healthy. So the old man thing, I think it's just because I got gray in my beard, but I don't have any on my head. So that's just where they get it. But I'm trying to just eventually hoping the old man thing's just out the window. But it's also good because get your ass beat by an old man. That's kind of embarrassing.
Right. So Yeah, when you were talking about the slaps, when I watched the first one and I saw you hit, I didn't realize that you wasn't giving him his first, because until we talked.
No.
Yeah, that you were only giving him, you were wanting to knock him out in the second. I didn't realize that. So when I saw it, as a fan, when I saw it, I was like, crap. Because as soon as Turpin, did that, and Turpin's like, night, Turpin being Turpin, you know what I mean? Turpin,
I had to take it. I had to take a hit.
Right.
I had to for the audience and for everyone else, because of the mere fact that's all I get is Vern doesn't have a chin. Vern doesn't have a chin.
Right.
I mean, if I would ever go against him again, I would hit him soft twice and I'd knock him out on the third one. And I'd hope he'd be going first so that he'd hit me 3 times. Like, I just want it over. I just want it over with. Like, I just, it's so, and it's always from people that aren't athletic or don't understand.
Right.
But whatever, it gets controversy.
Yeah.
It gets controversy. So yeah, they're like, ooh, betting odds on me. It's always like, there was like, oh, what are we going to throw Vern at?
Right.
So it's fine. It's fine. But I'm in perfect health. Always pass my physicals. Everything's great.
Right. Well, I have to be the first to admit I was wrong. So, I apologize to you in person that I was wrong.
It's okay. It's all right.
So, when he did that whole, night, he got just Turpin being Turpin. That pissed me off. I was like, oh, crap, here it comes. And you took the hit. And when you took the hit, I was like, good. That means we got another round. We got another round. You know what I mean? That he didn't knock him out, because he kept saying he was going to knock you out the first lap. That's what he kept telling everybody. First lap, I'm putting him to sleep, and he didn't do that, and then your second slap, put him down, which is funny because Turpin was honestly stunned when he went down, because he in his mind had no.
Oh yeah.
He didn't know. He in his mind already thought he was taking you out the first slap. That was it. He thought it was going to be a one slap, and that was done.
So when people talk about mental games, he's like, oh, I'm going to be mental with him. What's the biggest mental, flip if I'm the guy that's supposed to get knocked out because I have a weak chin and I just ate your shit, like just ate it. So
that right there, I told Ryan, was by far the best match of the night. So, and it's funny too, because, they give bonuses for the best match of the night. And did your match get that?
Yep. I got a performance bonus. Yep.
Okay, yeah. Because out of all the matches, I mean, that was the most anticipated, I think, is the Turpin. Well, other than Crazy Hawaiian Dan Verden, for the heavyweight. Yeah. But I think that was the biggest upset.
Oh, for upset. Sure was.
Yeah.
It was such bad odds because I was the underdog, and then he misses weight, so I get to slap first, and then I'm still the underdog. Like it was like beyond. And then coming back to the weight thing, where he weighed in at like 217 or whatever it was.
Right.
Like a lot of people don't realize this, but so I weighed in at 205.
Right.
The next day, for the match, I weighed 223 pounds.
Wow.
That's what makes me mad. Everyone's like, oh, he's a lot bigger than you. Muscle weighs more than fat.
Right.
Like I should post it because it's kind of funny because you can see my abs and everything. I'm kind of looking good. And then the next day, like I eat and the water fills me back out and I'm just fluffy again. Mm-hmm. So no. And that's like when I went against Amir, I weighed 216 pounds or 217 pounds prior to going against him. And then when I found out that like he was being a smartass, I lost 22 pounds in one day to go against him, to weigh in at 195.
How do you lose that kind of weight? What's the technique to lose that kind of weight that fast?
Against a mirror, I honestly, it was just pure dedication and being pissed off. Like, I ran, I jogged, I didn't drink any water for a day and a half. Like, I didn't eat any food. I didn't do anything for a day and a half. Like, I had no shit in me. I had no water in me. I had no nothing. My mouth was so dry. Like John Davis, he was helping me the whole time. He was wiping sweat off my head. Like, it was just pure dedication and pissed off. And I don't like to do that. That's not how it should be done. So I usually come off the plane now. I get off the plane at like 2:15, 2:13, and I slowly go down. I'm a real big sweater. Like, I sweat a lot, and I'm fluffy, so I'm not at a low % body fat. So about 45 minutes in the sauna is about 8 to 10 pounds for me.
Oh wow.
That's how much I sweat. And I'll cut down.
Right.
So that day I cut down to 203 pounds, 204 pounds. And then I step on the scale. I'm like, okay, then I go grab my water and some food, and I step on the scale with that. And I'm like, oh, okay, I can eat this and I can drink this. So I'm actually, as soon as I'm done cutting weight, before I even weigh in, I'm rehydrating.
Oh, wow.
Because I know that this water only weighs so much and this apple only weighs so much. So I can rehydrate.
I never thought about that, because a lot of the weight that people carry is water weight.
Mm-hmm.
So once you get rid of the water, your weight goes down. And I noticed that too, because
there's lots of stuff too. Like, I don't intake sodium for the week prior. I keep my sodium out. I eat super clean. Like, it's everything that someone should do on a daily basis.
Right.
It's what I do.
So,
but it's super hard to do that every day.
Yeah. And I can attest to that. I mean, so I had a kidney transplant a couple of years ago. Well, 10 years ago. So, 14 years ago. So I had a kidney transplant. So the kidney I have now, which is why I was in the hospital, is not working properly. So it makes me retain water. So like last week, 2 weeks ago, I started gaining like 20 pounds, just off of water weight. And so, I have to have a different routine so I can get rid of the water. You know what I mean? But people don't realize, carrying that extra weight, there's a lot, retaining that water, and carrying that extra weight plays a lot heavy on your body too. It changes.
Oh yeah. I feel the best. I felt the best I ever did when I weigh about 200 to 198. Like, I feel, for my height and everything, I feel good. Yeah. Right.
And you can feel it, like, when you lose the weight, because I dropped back down, I lost the 20 pounds from then, and now I have more energy. Yeah.
Yeah. Just walking around, just breathing, everything is so much better. Yeah.
So, and when you have somebody like Austin, this is their job. This is your job. You know what I mean? And you got guys like you and Ron and, and Damien, and, they all go out there and make the sacrifices to lose that weight, to compete, so that you're falling in. It pisses me off to see people like Austin, who just doesn't take it serious, who comes in there. Okay, look, I give it to you one time. Okay. You came in there with, overweight, and whatever. They came in. I think that he owed it to the league, and to the fans and everything. He should have apologized for it, which he didn't do.
Oh yeah. That's the other thing. Have you seen my media behind the media scenes when they interview me after my match?
I haven't seen the post.
Yeah, because it doesn't exist, because we talked about that.
Right.
So, and it's fine. I understand what everything's going on. I understand there's always stuff going on behind the scenes that I don't know and what's happening.
Right.
But on that aspect right there, a lot of people don't understand. I could have ended that right there. I didn't have to accept the match.
Right.
But me and Ron are professional, and that's why we're there. That was why we came. And I'm like, I'm not going home and not competing.
Right.
Like, I'm not wasting my week because of someone else.
Right.
The only way I wouldn't have competed is if, the sanction, everyone, if the boxing commission, the fighting commission would have been like, hey, you guys are too far apart in weight. We're not doing it. But
Right.
I was even concerned about that. I was concerned about that because when he missed weight, we still had a few minutes. And I was like, hey, do I need to start drinking water? Like, I would have downed like 6 things of water to come up in weight to make weight. And they're like, no, Vern, everything's good. Like, you're fine. So, it's a learning curve. Austin will, I guarantee you, this will never happen to him again.
Mm. Well,
and it's fine.
He's done it twice. So, I mean, you would think he learned it from the first time when he did it with Ron. But to come back.
He's young. He's young. And that's the young side. And here's the old guy. It's just, and he'll be fine. He'll come back from this. He'll have matches. Everything will be good. And I guarantee you in the next couple of years, we'll be going against each other again.
Right. Yeah. They're going to be, you know how I feel about this league pushing him. So they're going to try to push him back up as fast as they can, for that title. I don't know what their obsession is with him having that title, but they're obsessed of him having that title.
He's a character, he draws people in. I mean, I get it, but man, you're going to be a character. You better be the winning character.
Right. Well, that's the thing. If you're going to be a character and you're going to talk trash about other people, then at least you should be able to back it up.
He was trying.
Yeah.
He was trying. And that's the difference between the Midwest. I'm from an area, an era of like, you better not talk shit unless you back it up.
Right.
So I'm always nervous of like, losing and like, oh, I said this or I said that. And this is one of the very few matches that I was like, I'm knocking him out.
Right.
Like, I'm doing it. So I'm always trying to save face and make sure that I don't overstep my boundary on what I say. So
right. So and that goes back to, I mean, I guess, that's his persona or whatever, but it ticked me off too. Well, the other thing, that really gets me about Turpin is I get it when you go after your competitor. You know what I mean? When you talk trash about your competitor, but when you start talking trash about your competitor's family and bringing them in, and and some of the things, sometimes he just crosses the line. You know what I mean? Just some of the things that he says.
So I've said this before, and it's because of where I'm from and how I grew up. If I ever look you in the face and I'm like, I'm about to beat your ass.
Right.
Like, it's not a joke.
Right.
Like, that's what I mean.
Right.
So you won't ever hear me be like, oh, I'm going to go up there and punch that guy in the face. Because if I said that, I would need to do that.
Right.
So he's just part of an era and, a generation that I call them telephone tough. They're telephone tough. They're internet tough. When I grew up, we didn't have that. Someone said, "Oh, Vern, this guy said he's going to beat your ass." I'm like, "All right, what's his address? Let's go find this dude, and let's beat his ass."
Right.
And that's when I've always talked about, being the toughest guy in the room. Make sure you're tough, and that's how I grew up. So there's, I mean, you can call any of my friends, you can talk to any of them. They'll be like, "Yeah, Vern did a lot of stupid shit, but guess what? He beat their ass."
Right. Right.
So that, and that's how AJ is too. AJ's a shit talker, and
right.
And I'm just here to humble people. So that's my goal, is to humble every shit talker that I ever go against.
Wow. Well, you did it, man. You did it in PowerSlap 8. So, congrats on that. And now, we got the next match coming up. So they put you as the number 1 contender. So I saw you go up in the rankings, which is good because you deserve that, Yep.
And
then so that means that technically you should be able to face Ron for the title.
I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming they're going to have one in December, just how they space everything out. But I should go against Ron. He'll be a good competitor. It'll be a good match. But yeah, as far as I know, I'm pretty sure that's what they're going to do. Just for the mere point that like I lost a couple, they dropped me all the way down in the rankings, and I just I did my job and came back up top. So
Right.
I'm 5-2. My 2 losses were a long time ago, so
Right.
I think we just rock it out from here.
Yeah, and to me, that's going to be one of the best matches, because you guys you and Ron are a lot alike, in character,
Yes.
and I mean, and so that's going to be a really great match to watch.
Although he's got to trim that beard down. I noticed he trimmed it down, but he's got to keep it trim.
Yeah, and that's what keeps him giving him keeps talking to him about, but. He's done it before. He's shaved the beard to go after somebody.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. I just want to be able to see it a little better. That's it.
So, but I think it's gonna be a great match between the two of you guys.
I hope. I hope it will. I hope we get that match.
Yeah, and I do too, because that is a match I think that's gonna really draw in people, because you guys are both great guys. You know what I mean? And you deserve the opportunity to go against them. I know that you've been waiting in the wings for a while, having to wait for the whole Turpin thing to play out so that you could get to where you're able to compete, or compete for the title. So, for me, I'm excited to see you guys go at it, because, like I said, you guys are both great guys, and that right there is going to be one of the most exciting.
If we get that match and I go all 5 rounds and Ron goes all 5 rounds, I mean, right. That'd be amazing.
Right.
That'd be amazing. But I'll tell you what, people are still going to say I don't have a chin, even if I go all 5 rounds.
Yeah. But they can't say you don't have a slap.
Yeah.
Down, so.
Mm-hmm. The only guy in the league that's never gone to decision.
Right.
This guy.
So I was going to ask you this too. With all the new people coming in, with this the reality show and all the new people coming in, who do you think is coming up in the rankings? Who do you think is someone to look out for?
Man, I don't know of anyone in the light heavyweight, because it looks like they really didn't have any light heavyweight matches on this season.
Right.
But Stonier, he's getting opportunity. That's awesome. He's on tonight. But I haven't seen enough of what's going on to see early in the season, episode 3.
Right.
But I mean, it brings it back to, like I said, the progression of each athlete.
Right.
So, and that's what I love. That's what I love about how they're, it's like a tournament style, and you're seeing everything. So they can see their flaws, and if they win, they can correct it and go further and further. So by the end of the series, just like Dana always says, the best is going to come to the top, because the best guy is going to be the one that figures out how to make himself better every time.
Right. And what about the guys that's currently in the league? Who do you think is coming up from that group?
I'll tell you right now, and I've said this multiple times, and people just think I'm crazy. Delvin Hamlet. That dude hit me harder than anyone has ever hit me in my life.
Wow. And
all my power slaps, I've never had a black eye. I've never had a bruised cheek. I've never had a swollen face. When that guy hit me, it was like someone hit me with a 4x4.
Wow.
He is good. The only problem that he had was he was facing me. That was it.
Wow.
If he faces Austin, he's knocking him out. He faces AJ, he's knocking him out. He faces Alan Klingbeil, he's knocking him out.
Wow.
To me, even to this day, that was my best match.
Wow.
Beating Turpin, yeah, that was great. It was awesome. But Delvin Hamlet, that was my best match. Hardest competitor, and I think once he figures out what he's doing and how to take a hit, he's going to be one to see what's going on. You're going to watch him. As for the other ones, there's some lightweights that are coming up, and some middleweights. Brandon Bordeaux, You know, he's making a name for himself. You know, he's a showman. He's out there. He's yelling. Dude's jacked like a bodybuilder. You know, I hope they bring back Eddie Spaghetti. You know, I think he's gonna progress. But I think what's going to happen is as the league grows and we get all these different states, we're gonna have lower tournaments. You know, we're gonna have not tournaments, but lower matches. Like, oh, we're gonna have, you know, these lower guys go against these lower guys, and then the top 5 guys are going to be, you know, oh, we're going to have a big one in Vegas, and this is where you're going to go. So as we get more people in the league, it's going to be like the UFC. You know, you're going to have UFC Kansas City. You're going to have UFC, you know, somewhere, you know, in Houston. And then they're going to be like, hey, we're going to have the big show in Vegas. We're going to have the, you know, the big show here. So that's where it's progressing. And I think in the next 2 years, you're going to see it just absolutely explode. And I hope within, you know, I hope that I get to commentate sometimes. I hope they call me and like, hey, give Vern a microphone, and this is a lower level match, and let's see what he has to say about it. So that's what I want. I want it to grow to the point where, like, you know, there's Michael Bisping that does stuff for us, and he does stuff for UFC, does stuff for that. And I hope that we get to a point where we're grabbing athletes that are PowerSlap and been PowerSlap athletes to commentate and to work with other guys. You know, we're never gonna replace Charlie. You know, Charlie Arnold, Dad. She's great. She's awesome. We have a great announcer, and it's gonna grow. It's gonna get huge, and I just hope I can continue to be a part of it.
Right. You know, and that's the other thing I ask the guys too is, you know, because this sport is growing, and like I said, you know, we went from 300 in PowerSlap 6 to 3,000, you know, in attendance. So this thing is growing. It's growing internationally and, you know, nationally and internationally. So, you know, and I asked the guys that, what's your plan to grow with it? You know, because after a while, you're not going to be able to compete, you know. Just, you know, as you get older, you know,
it's inevitable.
Yeah. So what's the plan after that? You know, what do you guys want to do after that?
Oh man, you give Vern the microphone. Give me the microphone. I mean, that's, you know, that's actually when I'm entertaining and I'm a fun guy, and you'll see comedy and stuff like that is when I'm not competing.
Right.
When I'm competing, that's just not how it works for me.
Right. And, you know,
so,
you know, I can see that too. I can see you as a commentator, and it makes sense. It makes sense to have, you know, someone who competed get out there and be able to commentate on, you know, the sport as it's growing too, and the new contenders coming out there. I want to ask you this too, Dumpling coming out from Russia and competing. It looks like that they shot him up after one match, one slap.
Okay,
the number one contender.
This is what I'll say about that. He's competed in multiple events, not just slap. And the thing is, you know, Dana saw his clip, saw what he was doing, was like, hey, we're going to build a league out of this guy. So, you know, off of what he was doing. Right. So he gave him a shot, and I watched it. Right. I mean, it was a great execution. Like, there's no question if there's a penalty anywhere, anything like that. So to bump him up, I'm perfectly fine with it because he has a background and you can see what he did. But if there's some dude that was on the reality show that's super heavyweight and there's like, we're giving you a title shot, like, I wouldn't agree with that. Yeah. But I don't know if Dumpling's getting the title shot or what. But I mean, I feel it was justifiable.
And I was going to say, how well do you think he's going to do against the Crazy Hawaiian? Because that slap was a killer slap, and you know I love Crazy Hawaiian, but I don't know.
My thing is the crazy Hawaiian. His neck doesn't move. Right. Like he eats it. So that's what Dumpling needs. You know, they don't and they don't need to give him to, you know, a lower level guy and see what happens. Like, that was his audition. That was Dana saying, hey brother, come out here, put a show on, and you're going to get the money. and that's what he did.
So I think that's going to be a great match too. With and I know that for the Hawaii, I know for Hawaii they're going to do the Crazy Hawaiian against the Hitman Hawaiian. You know what I mean? You have to do it. It's brothers. You know what I mean?
There's so many Hawaiians in the league that it'll be great. It'll be great.
Well, and there's bragging rights too between the brothers. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, there's going to be like some restaurant there that they're going to get treated like sumo wrestlers. Right. They're going to walk in there, get what they want, like, everything's going to be great. I mean, I love the Hawaiians. Right. There's Russell, there's the brothers, there's Uncle Micah, there's there's so many of them, I can't name them all. Right. And I'll tell you, all I care about is if they win and someone yells "huli huli" for everybody, because that's like a chicken. It's like some chicken, a roadside chicken. Right. So, no, it's going to be great. The Hawaiian one, I mean, if I'm not on the card, I will probably see if I can get there to watch it, because it'll just be, the atmosphere will be unreal.
Right. I'm waiting for them to bring to Texas, because when they do Texas, I want to do the show live. They sanctioned in Texas, so I'm assuming we're going to do Houston if we do it. So, when Houston's not too far away, it's a couple hours away, but I would love to be able to go do the show live and interview people before the match. But I'm excited about that. But the second one, I would love to do Hawaii too. Hawaii would be a blast, because I'm with you. I think that the atmosphere in Hawaii is going to be just off the chain. So nuts. It will be nuts. So like going to Dubai is cool. Right. But as a fan, if you have 5 cards with 5 Hawaiians on it, right. I mean, one card with 5 Hawaiians on it, I mean, like, it's going to be nuts. The whole town, I mean, they're going to be underground betting. There's going to be this one doing that. I mean, there's going to be like, it'll be nuts. Right. I'm excited for it. I am too. I think it's going to be, and it'll be great. That'll probably be the first one. Right. That'll probably be the first one that's on like ESPN or, pay-per-view. The Hawaiian one will be the one that's like, we're selling, right. And that's the other thing too, is I noticed that I guess their contract with Rumble is up or whatever they had. So, and I talk about this a lot too, is I'm waiting for them to actually start doing pay-per-views, because it's growing to that size. I hope they don't. I want it to grow some more, right, before, because we need to get more people at live events, because right, it is such a different story when it's at a live event. It is nuts to watch it live. And that's the thing, too, is like for me, I watch it at home, and that's why I talk to the guys. I'm like, what it's got to be like to be there. PowerSlap 6, crazy. When PowerSlap 6 happened, it was during Super Bowl Sunday, or Super Bowl weekend. So I was like, okay, I can see them grabbing the crowd. They did. The celebrities came out. I get that. But then PowerSlap 7 came, and it grew. And PowerSlap 8 came, and they were like, they had to change venues, because it was so big. And so, each match, the big match seems to grab more people. And this thing's just growing. It's just growing, Exciting to see. And as a person like me who watches it, I would love to be there, because I could just watching it, you could see how electrifying, the crowd is, and how much what the atmosphere is like there. And to be a part of that, it's got to be crazy. It's amazing. Yeah. So, last question I'm going to ask you. Yep. Manu and Danny Van Hernen, should they run that back? No. I'm not a big run it back guy. Mm-hmm. I think each of them need to have a couple matches with some other people and then bring it back. Right. I don't like instant ones, because to me it's like, oh, we already saw it.
But like if you watch two athletes progress, and you're like, oh man, they this one got better, or this one, and then you can get a feel of, if the tides can turn. You know what I mean? So if Danny just starts doing better and starts, just knocking people out, and then they're like, oh, let's bring it back to the one that, everyone went crazy about, and then he lost. So that's where I'm at. I don't think they should run it back.
See, because for me, I was like, and I like Danny. Don't get me wrong. I like Danny. Danny's been on the show. But, passing up Manu and putting Danny there to face the Hawaiian, that's one of the problems I kind of have with the rankings with PowerSlap.
Yeah.
The rankings got to mean something. It's such an early stage in the game. And the reason why they did that is because, even though Hawaii's in America, it's looked at as international, and then, South America, that's international. So they're building up, international fights and matches here. So I guarantee the card in Dubai is going to have the most diverse country list ever. Cool. Because, I think that a lot of guys are getting overlooked. And I think part of it is, and I understand Dana's logic too, is you're trying to build a brand. So you're trying to put, the fights out there that you think that's going to draw the biggest crowd. I get that.
Yep.
But at some point the rankings have to come into play, or what's the point of you guys working your way up?
They will, and it's going to take some time, a year or two, another couple years.
Right.
But also, like, everyone needs to worry, because you saw what Dana did the other day with the undefeated fighter.
What did he do?
Oh, he fired one of the fighters that's undefeated.
Oh, wow.
Okay. He has like 11 matches undefeated. So, I mean, it also brings up the point of, like, you can't be a total idiot. You can't be a total jerk, and even if you're winning.
Right.
So I say within a year, the rankings are going to be better. But when you're the pool that we're pulling the rankings from is so small.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm very fortunate. I was on the very first show, very first thing.
Right.
So I'm very happy that I'm able to be where I'm at.
Right. Well, cool, man. Well, man, again, man, thanks for being on the show, dude. So if people want to follow you through your journey with PowerSlap, what's the best way for them to do that?
Honestly, just go on Instagram. It's Vercules200. You just type in Vernon Cathey. I'm the only one on Instagram, so it pops right up. And same with Facebook. Follow, like everything. Subscribe, do whatever you got to do. I'm just a Midwest guy that just enjoys what he's doing, and I love the sport, and I'm glad it's growing. And I wish I could be a little more entertaining, but I'm just the driven competitive athlete. Right. That just wants to focus and win at that moment. But like I said, you could see the last time, and when I was coaching Turpin, I got some energy. I was doing some stuff. I was yelling at those guys. So, but yeah, just follow me on social media, and let's make this sport bigger. Let's make it grow.
Awesome. All right, brother, man. Thanks again, man, for being on the show. It was great getting to talk to you, brother.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate it so much.
Cool. So we got to have you back on. So what we'll do is maybe the next PowerSlap, we'll get a couple of the guys together and we'll do our predictions.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back and do a show and see how we all did.
I am down for that 100%.
Awesome. All right, guys. All right, thanks, guys. Remember, first of all, thanks for joining us, man. Again, I was really looking forward to this interview with Vern. The best match of the night. So if you have not seen PowerSlap 8, if you can find it, make sure you go back and watch it. There was a lot of great matches, but by far the best match of the night was Vern versus Turpin. So until next time, guys, remember, you are uniquely designed with a purpose. and always keep.
Let's remember, right on 3. Right on 3.
Right on 3. All right, brother. Peace.